Hello, it's time for Combat Patrol Carnage. It's another new week into Delivery 9, and that means we're of course onto a new issue, and it's the finale of our Chaos Space Marine Legionnaire squad. So here we are, issue 34, and yeah, we get the final bits we need to finish off our Chaos Legionnaires. Inside the issue then, we have our full paint guide for the squad. So nice lot of individual details. Each model has its own unique features and stylings, which is pretty cool. We learn about the 13 Black Crusades of Abaddon. We learn about the Chaos God Khorne. Then we look at weapon abilities for our shooting phase articles. And then we have a scenario where we get to try out our new Legionnaires, as well as the Dark Apostle as they try to please the Chaos Gods again. Let's hope it goes a bit better than last time anyway. So with this issue we got our final frame, and it is the pretty much weapon and torso frame. So we got all the different bolt guns, bolt pistols, the melter gun, the axe, and yeah, all our different torsos. Most of the heads as well on here. The flamer if you want to build up with a flamer. Plasma pistols for our champion. Plus you can give one to one of the Legionnaires with a close combat weapon if you build them all with close combat weapons. And yeah, some nice extra little bits as well. We got the chain fed ammunition coming out of a box on the guy's hip there. So yeah, really cool, fun additional details to add. And we of course get our bases, so 10 32mm bases. We're going to be painting our Legionnaire champion that we built last video up in the colours of the Black Legion, which we also learned about last video. So before we hit the table then, don't forget to do all the usual. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and drop me a comment down below. How are you painting your Chaos forces? Are you following the magazine like me, or do you have a specific faction that you'd like to dedicate yourself to? Personally, I would have gone for Word Bearers myself, but we don't actually have the colours for that in the collection at the moment. We do need that nice deep dark red of Khorne red in order to get that armour looking nice and chaos tainted. But yeah, it's a colour scheme I could definitely do on my second copy of this Combat Patrol, which is in my spares box, well, my pile of potential, should we say, in my hobby area. So if you'd like to see that done, drop me a comment down below, and I'll try to build and paint up some of the models from it for you guys here on the channel. Finally then, Combat Patrol Carnage is proudly sponsored by warbay.shop, your one-stop supply for all your hobby needs. They stock everything you need for all your different armies, from your various different game systems as well, to all your hobby supplies and your gaming equipment as well. They also stock past and present partworks from Hachette, including Combat Patrol, and have a good selection of various oddities as well. So pick up that missing coin that you need for your coin folder, or even that missing pin badge that you like to decorate your bags with, like I do. So check out warbay.shop, there's a link for them in the video description as usual, or you can head down to their store as well. So who knows, you might find the next hobby project at a bit of a discount. Right, let's head to the table. We'll paint our Legionnaire champion into the colours of Black Legion. So here we are, we got a Chaos Legionaries champion, base coated with 3 coats of Abaddon Black, and we're ready to start adding the rest of the colours. Following the paint guide, our first colours are Leadbelcher and Retributor Armour. So it's nice we're getting all the metallics out of the way first, which is how I like to do it. So we'll grab our Leadbelcher, give it a quick shake, and get some prepared on our palette. Onto our Legionary champion then. So we've got the straps coming down around his chest. These cables on his abdomen. blade and chain on his loincloth. Of course, we got his big old axe head here. Pick out. And finally we got all the details on the plasma pistol to pick out, which is fine, getting them all silver for the moment. We can come back in with colours later on. Work it into all the nooks and crannies. Finally, small details such as the cables around his helmet and the details on his backpack, including the vent inside the mouth of the demon face. All of these cables and the small vents here at the bottom of the power pack. So there we go, with all that silver detail done, our aspiring champion is starting to look, well, a little more coloured in than just black. So now we're going to do the probably hardest part of painting these guys. All of that gold trim. So you're going to need 2 layers over that black undercoat, and the colour we'll use is Retributor Armour. So just like before, we'll get some ready on our palette. And we'll want a small brush with a nice thin tip, which is why I'm using the small layer. Get a bit of a clean off. Then we can load up and go in. So we've got a lot of details. We've got the end of the sword. We've got his belt buckle first of all. Let's get those. We got the skull icon on his chest. We got his face mask as well. Plus the central part holding up his top knot there. And of course, don't forget, we got shoulder pads, legs, details on the gun, his little claw designs on his backpack. Don't worry about getting any on the skull, we'll colour that in when we come to white. We've got the pommel and the top of the grip here. And of course, all of that trim around the model. So just take your time, doing one piece at a time. And if you make any mistakes at the end, we'll go over with some Abaddon Black just to hide those imperfections. There we go, with 2 layers of Retributor armour down, our aspiring champion now has a little more colour on him. But there's still many more to do, and now we're moving on to our matte colours. And we're going to kick things off on the levers with Catachan Flesh. So this is his pouches, his belt, and his holster. A small amount of this ready on our palette. And of course we've got fresh water after working with metallics. And again with a nice thin pointed brush, we can move on to our model. So we got belt going around his waist, as well as all of these pouches. And we got his holster here as well. Might be a little difficult to reach behind the axe, but just take your time. Once you've done one layer, you may need to come back and do a second. But Catachan Flesh should cover nicely over the black. Catachan Flesh finished, we can move on to our next colour, and we've got Mephisto Red, so this is going to be for the plume, the loincloth, the weapon haft, and if we can, his eyes. Although oddly enough they've left the champion's eyes out but done everybody else's. So maybe they'll be doing a different colour in the future. We'll have to wait and see. But with Mephisto Red ready, we can start applying it to our miniature. So we got top knot here, being careful around that gold. We've got his weapon grip. And of course his loincloth, being careful to avoid the silver, so his dagger, the chainmail. Don't forget to also get the grip of the weapon. And of course the underside. And we'll probably need to do 2 layers of this, so let your first dry and come back in with a second. With 2 layers of red down on our aspiring champion, he is starting to look a little bit closer to completion. Moving on next then, we're going to use Reefbone, and this is to pick out all the horns and teeth. So there's quite a few around the model. 2 little horns on his gun, there's some bits on his backpack, and on the various armour plates as well. So just take your time looking out for these bits. And you will need a couple of coats over that black. So we've got a couple here on his leg. Like so. We got 2 little horns or teeth, whatever you want to call them, on his plasma pistol. There's 2 little horns on top of his backpack's vents. I think that's it. Yep, got them all. There's one other horn up on that shoulder pad there, and if you'd built the correct shoulder pad, unlike me, you'd have had a tooth roughly around this area. So check your paint guide, it'll show you where things are to. With those little details blocked in, we're on to our last colour, and now we're going to use Corax White. So this is for the strapping around his leg and holster, the skulls on his backpack vent, plus the leering face as well. So. We've got the strapping here around his leg and holster to do first. Including this piece that comes down around his leg and knee pad. If we turn him around, we can get the straps going across the holster and of course his leg. And finally, we got these skulls up on his backpack. And the skulled face. There we go, the white added onto our model. He is looking really good. So now I'm off to do a quick tidy up, mostly with Abaddon Black, but there's a few other colours I might need to go back in with. And once we're done with that, we can move on to the wash stage. So there we go now, I'm happy with all the base layers. We are ready to move on to the shade stage. So we're only using 3 shades. Our first is Nuln Oil. This is going to be for all the silver metals, the reds, the whites, and the brown details. So once we've got a good mix into our shade, we'll grab our shade brush, load up a small puddle on our palette. $3 should be enough. Wash our brush clean. And then onto our model. So we got the loincloth, grenades and pouches all around his waist, plus these bandings. We can hit all of those at once with the Nuln Oil. We've got his plume, straps across his chest. Most of his plasma pistol. And we got these demonic faces and skulls to pick out as well. As you see, I'm not being particularly careful over the black areas, as the shade won't really show up, but it will help add a little bit of definition and texture to the black. So with all that Nuln Oil applied and drying, we've got some nice definition added to our aspiring champion. While that is drying, we can go on to our second shade, which is Agrax Earthshade. We'll use a small brush for this, as all we've got to do is touch those horns and teeth that are growing all over our model. So just need a small puddle to work from, as we ain't got that many. So we've got the 2 on the leg here. There's actually 3 on his gun. There's 1 around this side here that we missed earlier. And there would be the 1 on the shoulder pad there. And there's the 1 up here to do as well. That's pretty much it for the teeth. Oh, and the 2 on the backpack, don't forget those. Leave that to fully dry before we move on to our final shade, which is the shade All Black Gold. And with those 2 shades now fully dry, we can go on to our final shade, which is Retributor Armor. No, wrong. It's actually Viking Flesh shade, which goes over the Retributor Armor. So we'll get this shook up and ready, and we can mix and match our brushes, do a small layer around areas. But other areas we can go with the full shade brush. So we'll get a puddle of this ready on our palette. Again, 3 dollops should suffice. And what we'll start on is the shoulder pad here. So we'll splash this all over the shoulder pad, including the black. Just being careful around that bone detail. And just work our way around the model, getting all those gold details. With the Viking Flesh shade. Just like with an on oil, this will sit nicely over the black, giving a little bit of definition to the otherwise rather flat colour. So areas like around this skull design, I'll switch to a small brush and just gently apply this shade to the gold. And there we go, we'll leave that to dry, and our aspiring champion is done and ready to join his brothers. And there we have it, there's our Chaos Legionaries squad ready to do battle, and we'll be seeing that very soon as these guys get to try out their prowess against various adversaries to earn the favour of the Chaos Gods. And I might just be playing through all 4 options just so I can get the Chaos Undivided ending. So there we have it. All that's left for me to do is say thank you all very much for watching. Up next is our lore articles. So I'll see you next time on more Combat Patrol Carnage. Goodbye.